wheel, driving the conversation. We bring you the most compelling discussions on governance, policies, and power plays. Stay informed, stay engaged, stay ahead. The Polity, every weekdays at 9:15 a.m. Exclusive on Udala 104.7 FM Onitsha.
Alright, it's now 17 minutes past 9 a.m. and you are tuned to the Radio 104.7 FM. Welcome to the Polity, this Tuesday edition, the 15th of July 2025. And like we do tell you all the time, that what we do on this very program is to bring you up to speed with news and development in the polity, the way they are captured by various newspapers. My name is Franklin and Ebuka, and you can just go to our Facebook page and join this very conversation. We are always live on that very page, Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Then on YouTube and Instagram is Udala Radio. Thank you for joining us this very morning. Okay, so I'm not alone. Chisom Chinedu is here. Good morning, Chisom. Good morning.
Good morning, Franklin. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good.
We actually missed you here yesterday. I saw something this morning, Franklin, and I took a picture of it. I was crossing the road around Army Gate.
Okay. And
I realized that the gutter, that gutter that demarcates the road now, one towards Savoy, one towards Shebi, that's on Enugu Onitsha Expressway,
yes.
right? Franklin, and this is rainy season, and we are talking the silting, making sure that our waterways are working. But what I saw this morning was a massive eyesore. And I also don't know if they have any prior arrangement about the evacuation, which made them do that, because there are so many people who sell corn around that area. So I was just wondering how they could have collectively decided to make that gutter their dump site.
Okay, so I don't know if that is the culture, because as if you read my mind, coming to work this very morning, just here at DMGS, maybe after our program, you can just take a stroll there and see what people have done there. Just around, that area where buses normally stop to wait for the traffic light.
Mm-hmm.
People have turned a side of it to dump site this very morning. And you keep on talking about this very thing. Somebody will tell you that people who evacuate this very refuse, they don't show up, and that's why they are doing that. But I must say that there's no justification for you to do that, because I just imagine in the heart of the city, you just decide to dump refuse anywhere you see. It's the height of irresponsibility. And then let's get to work on Dr. Olisa Mbeki for today's program. Good morning, Tony.
Good morning, Franklin. Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, the good people of Southeast Indiana, and Onitsha. Good morning, God Almighty. We are back here, and it's always a pleasure to be here. And then I just had a conversation over the dump site. So we've turned our gutters, our drainage systems into dump sites. That tells the kind of society we're in. That reflects and mirrors our society. Everything is not government, and if government goes so hard on those who have done this, you see people shouting, why would it be so hard on these people? And I will tell you this, these are people with brain that decided amongst everything to dump their corn or refuse or anything, the debris of their corn right inside the drainage system that can also cause a blockage. And if it causes a blockage, what would happen? Once it causes blockage, water will spill and then spoil the roads, and it will also cause erosion. There are so many things that can come as a result of that, but we don't even help anybody. We don't even help ourselves. We, members of the public, concerned citizens, and then even good loving people of this state will see these things and keep quiet and pretend that all is well, and tomorrow we'll be crying out about any pandemic, epidemic, or outbreak of anything. But we are the one causing this problem. We must say no to evil and also decide to live right.
Okay, so Tony, I say with you, we're going to go for a by-election in Anambra State by August 16th. There is Anambra South senatorial by-election, and then there is the one for Onitsha North One State constituency. And from what I gathered, there was a kind of a mock primary election that was held among these very aspirants. You know, that mock election was held between them and then the governor and the some other stakeholders. And from what we gathered, that it was an indication of how the governor wanted the primary to be rancor-free, and then they will be able to produce a consensus candidate. If you have more on that, let's talk about it, because from what we gathered, some persons are claiming that Imanwachuku, coasted home. Some persons are claiming that Ebuka Onunko coasted home. So different reports coming from different dimensions, depending on who they are sponsoring.
On the issue of mock primary, I don't know that, because it's not part of the processes of a political party. There's no time or no place or nowhere in the constitution of political parties where you have mock primaries. And sometimes some people can do anything and exercise any right or anything to find out for themselves what they think. Just what I'm aware is that the governor has told the aspirants under All Progressives Grand Alliance to work among themselves and see if they can produce a consensus candidate, which would also help the party to win the election itself. Once the House is united, it's evident that the victory will be theirs. So that is just the position of government. But then on the side of having a mock election is not, for me, part of the processes of political party, and it's not also part of what is known. We've not seen a political party conduct a mock primary to see if a consensus candidate will emerge. Consensus is built in such a way that there will be consultation, and that consensus will be proclaimed at the day of primaries. By the time all the aspirants must have been met, consulted, and many of them pledged to either step down for this person or that person. They may even pledge it openly. They may even decide to wait until the day of primary where they can make such pronouncements. Outside that, I am not aware of any form of mock primary where somebody coasted home with victory. If you coast home with the victory, who conducted the mock primary?
Well, it wasn't actually, we can't call that a primary election that was conducted by a party. It was a matter of convening the aspirants, and then the stakeholders, like they mentioned, the mayor of the local government areas in Anambra South, and likewise the chairman of the party, the chairman of ABGA in those local government area, where just amongst ourselves, let's see who is more popular among these very aspirants, and that's how the figures came out. The figure that that's
what I'm telling you. It was something some people decided to do for themselves, and then there are some candidates that will even opt out in that kind of thing. And then for those who may have done that, don't be surprised that the person who they told you coasted home with victory may have come across or may have done this with his team. So if you look inwards, the person touted to have coasted home with victory must have instigated this with his either managers or those who are working for him. So it is something he did for himself. Is a kind of campaign tactic, is a kind of campaign strategy for him. There's nothing of such known by anybody. The person did it as part of his own strategy, not anybody's strategy.
So does that mean that somebody is trying to rope in the name of the governor into this?
That is what it is. That is what it is. Governor never sanctioned this. So these things are social media propaganda. So somebody who instigated this definitely wanted to use it as a strategy, as a benchmark, as a tactic for his principal, and that's what he has achieved. And then for me, he doesn't even need a media talk or media statement. When the day of primary comes, definitely they will go in their queue and then see who becomes the candidate of the parties. Not all these media stunts. These are stunts.
All right, Chisom, I don't know if you have seen a certain poster with a title "Sympathy 2025" of Labour Party. I don't know.
I
why.
saw that and I asked myself, is this real or some sort of people making this up to put it out there? I was wondering if the woman in question, she's aware that her picture is in a situation like that, and why she would want to walk that path, not because of her gender or anything, but I'm curious to find out if the pain has left, because knowing fully well what happened to her, I was asking myself, is she ready for this? You know, knowing how it all went down. But the tag sympathy, I think if that is real, that's to tell you how low we have sunk in this entire thing. We do not know the barest minimum about governance or about democracy. It's about who is able to buy the sentiments of the people. Sadly so.
Well, but you know, if this happens, it's not the very first time, because I can recall that there was one time lawmaker who was representative, I think he did Newton South in the State House Assembly, and when he died, the wife replaced him. I've been trying to remember his name.
Under what circumstances?
The man died while in office.
When I mean circumstances, I mean we all know what happened to Justice Azuka.
Yes. So I've been trying to remember his name, because such thing happened, and we know also when Ifanyoba died, some people mooted that kind of idea. So if this poster we have seen, if it turns out to be real, Tony, would that be trying to force a horse to pass through the needle?
I think most times it depends on the party. And I understand the fact that people should remove emotion, remove sympathy from politics. Politics is a serious business. Simple. And then it is something that is more of a service, not more of entitlement.
Not compensation.
Or compensation, as one may think. I remember there was a time, I think a lawmaker from Anambra State, and the person died, and the party decided that the wife should go on to complete
Mebwaneze
to complete the term of Mebwaneze. It was the party's decision for the party. They felt that based on the principle of rotation, equity, and zoning, that it would be right for the woman, and they brought the woman as the candidate of the party. And in the major election, remember, party can do some kind of micro zoning and some of these things and text what they have done in the main election and the general election. So our guys at that time did something of thought nature, presented her before the constituents, and the constituents went on to choose her. But the question is, nobody has asked question if she performed well or not, or if she did as expected, or if she turned up to give the people that kind of representation expected of a lawmaker. Nobody's asking about that. You know, one thing about the people is that they come out and then be constrained and then consigned themselves to deliverables like empowerment. Nobody talks about how many laws, how many motions have this person moved that we change the course of governance in our constituents. I mean, on our constituents and in our constituency. How many of these things have impacted our constituents and also changed our constituency for good? Definitely, sometimes it may not be restricted to that constituency. It may be something that is widespread, but the target may have been the constituency and their constituents as well. So the point I'm trying to make here is this: we chase shadow most times in this country, and we leave substance. And when you see something like sympathy votes, compensation votes for, I saw that for late Ifanyoba, and then we are told that Uche Uba, the wife, declined to such. And now we are getting to hear about sympathy or compensation vote for Justice Azuka, where they have brought out the wife. Somebody you don't even know whether she has the capacity or not. People are not questioning the capacity to deliver some of these things. Not everybody may be there. Not by emotion, not by compensation, not by sentiment. Has you what it takes?
I don't know whether is somebody trying to fly a kite, because when I saw that very poster initially, I dismissed it until I saw it, until I saw a statement signed by a supposed Labour Party stakeholder, or not stakeholder, party official in that very in Onitsha area. That's when I said, okay, let's see if we can lend credence to this. But like you said, there's a lot to be decided on this very matter. Okay, so we have to leave that and then get to the issue for today, which is to also look at the headlines we have this very morning on 4 newspapers. Stay with us. Okay, so we have headlines from 4 newspapers. We have Vanguard, The Nation, Guardian, and the Punch newspapers. We'll begin with the Vanguard newspaper. And the banner headline here says, Buhari, Tinubu set up 9-man committee, burial host today. The story is on page 5 of Vanguard newspaper. And let's look at the riders. That very story, plenty of them. Declares today public holiday. Shetima pays condolence visit to Buhari's family in London. I was with Buhari in same hospital. Abdul Salam Abubakar. Presidency postpones special FEC. NAS suspends all legislative activity till July 22nd. Khan, Amechi, Oshomole, Saraki, Marwa, Hashim, others pay tribute. Buhari left indelible imprints on page of national history, NSCIA. So these are the writers we have on that very story. Then you can see the picture story that says Shetima condoles with Buhari's family. It's a picture story on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. Then other headlines we have here: why I support ADC's coalition but remain in PDP. Lamido, that's on page 9 of Vanguard. More tributes as Awujale is buried in Ijebode. That's on page 7. Then this one says visa overstay. U.S. threatens Nigerians with deportation. Permanent travel ban. You can see that on page 8 of Vanguard newspaper. And the last headline we have here says Dangote plans seaport to enhance export of fertilizers. Others. That's on page 19 of a Vanguard newspaper.
The writer from the Vanguard newspaper, we are going over to another paper on our desk this morning, and of course that would be the Punch newspaper. Looking at some of the stories on the Punch this morning, major headline, like in so many other papers this morning, would be this story: Dara Kingsmen Associates reflect on Buhari's final months. On page 2 has a couple of riders. State burial begins in Abuja today. Interment to follow in Katsina. I was hospitalized in same London facility as Buhari. Abdul Salami has that to say. Jonathan visits Aisha in London as Amosu, Lawan, others arrive Dora. Tinubu appoints Akume, Ribadu others to burial committee. FG delegation visits Aisha, Maman Dara, Abdul Salami in London. About the nameplate of the paper, soldiers bar traditionalists from Awujale's Muslim funeral on page 27. Riders of Oshimbajo, governors Oshoba, Daniel, Dangote, Grace Awujale's burial. Fusegbuwa house poised for throne as Ijebu awaits new Awujale. Natasha fires back at Akpabio over reinstatement challenge on page 30. Naira rebounds to 4-month high, trades 1,518 naira to $1. That's on page 28. Ogun workers begin strike over 82 billion naira pension arrears on page 20. 2027 Adeleke attacks Arekbe Shola over plan to oust governor on page 20.
Okay, so from that very story, let's go over to the Guardian newspaper and see the headlines we have on the Guardian newspaper. Okay, so on Guardian, we have the banner headline that says Pay TV struggles as more Nigerians opt for mobile streaming services. That's on page 6. Government killed 2 evangelists in fresh plateau attack. That's on page 20. Ababi appeals against court order for Natasha's record. That's on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. Calls for metering deregulation intensify as experts warn of widening gap. Okay, the other headline here says Buhari gets state funeral as critics fought National Assembly's week-long tribute. That's on page 6. Buhari represented unity, equity, but was misunderstood. That's on page 4. Who is saying so? Find out from the Ghana newspaper. Oshibajo, Dangote, Abiodun, others bid Awujale farewell. That's on page 2 of the Guardian newspaper. U.S. threatens visa validity defaulters with deportation lifetime ban. That's on page 3. Over 2 million Abuja indigenous people risk extinction. CSO tells UN. That's on page 30 of the Guardian newspaper. Tight security in Daura as Castina awaits Buhari's remains. That's on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. And those are the headlines we have this very morning on Guardian.
All right, then going over to the Guardian newspaper. On the Nation newspaper this morning. Some of the stories you'd find here as well. A lot of stories are hinged on the funeral of former President Muhammadu Buhari. Of course, still on that banner headline here, Tinubu, African leaders for Dara to attend Buhari's burial. Body arrives Katsina at noon for 2 p.m. funeral. That's on page 2. And of course, inside that story, full military honors for ex-president, governors, ministers, traditional rulers to attend. APC shuts secretariat. Nigerians observe public holiday. We were admitted into same hospital, says General Abdul Salami. And of course, Akufo-Addo, Jonathan visit family in London. Hit the ground running. Ayedatiwa urges new Ondo State Exco members on page 25. And above the nameplate of the paper, plot to unseat Oshun Governor Adeleke knocks Aregbesola on page 25. Wadada Ume, Fadu Hussein, 7 other senators get to change parties on page 28.
Okay, just to add these very headlines from Punch newspaper. This one says police rescue 39 Ghanaians, others in trafficking crackdown. And this one says Obi will contest with or without ADC aid. And then the final headline says Ogun workers begin strike over 82 billion naira pension deductions. And these are the headlines we have this very morning. So stay tuned for us to begin the conversation. Stay with us. Alright, so you are listening to Udala Radio 104.7 FM, and this is the Polity Tuesday edition. My name is Franklin Ebuka Chisom and Dr. Olisa Mbeki. All of us are together for today's program. Don't forget, we are live on Facebook, Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Get to the page, share the post, and at the same time drop your comments. At the right time, we are going to acknowledge your post. So, and today is the burial, or you can say funeral, of former president of Nigeria, Muhammad Buhari, who died in London hospital. He died on Sunday at the age of 82. And from what we gathered, of course, his body is going to arrive Castina by noon today. And after the arrival, there will be a military ceremony which will be held at the airport, after which President Bola Tinubu will personally receive the remains. The body will then be transported to Daura for Janaiza, that is a funeral prayer, and then interment at his residence at 2 p.m. Which is in line with the Islamic rites. From what we gathered, 25 federal executive council members have been directed to attend the burial and remain in Daura for the 3rd day prayers on Wednesday. And then for Mr. President Tinubu, he has declared a 7-day national mourning period from Sunday, being July 13, with flags flying at half-mast nationwide. And today is a public holiday in honor of the late president, because the federal government declared a public holiday for today to honor the late president. Consequently, the special federal ESCO meeting, which was scheduled for this Tuesday to honor Buhari, it has been postponed to Friday, July 18, because of this very funeral today. Then there is an interministerial committee that has been constituted by President Bola Tinubu to coordinate a befitting state funeral and burial for former President Muhammadu Buhari. Now, Anthony, let's get to the conversation. What do you consider a state burial funeral, deserving of Nigeria's former president, irrespective of the view the people have of that very person?
State burial is always a state burial. There's no doubt about it. Once you proclaim a state burial, irrespective of public opinion, irrespective of public thoughts or sentiments, you must go deep into it and make it a state burial. And then when we talk about state burial, what do we mean? So it's important that people who are listening to us understand what a state burial is all about. We'll look at it from every angle, from every perspective, and from every lens. Most times a state burial, for me, is the highest ceremonial honor a country can give to a deceased individual. It could be head of state, such as a president. For countries that practice parliamentary system of government, it could be prime minister. It could be also a distinguished monarch for those who are practicing monarchical system of government. It could also be for other distinguished national figure. One, it is public. Two, it is formal. And then sometimes it comes up with elaborate events, and there are certain official rights, national mourning, and government participation. These are marks of a state burial. And most times, whenever state burial is declared, there is naturally, or there is somehow, a national mourning period, military honors, sometimes for those who may not be Muslims, lying in state. There could be procession or being religious. These are some of the things that go with state burial. I remember when Nnamdi Azikiwe died in 1996, he was accorded a state burial, even when we know very well that Abacha was the head of state at that time. And then when President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua died in office, he was also accorded a state burial. And we must not mistake state burial for official burial. There are times you have a state burial, there are sometimes you have official burial. The official burial sometimes is a kind of a high burial event that would accompany it, but lower than state burial. It could be minister, it could be senior public figure, or something of that nature. Now let's come back to the arguments Nigerians are waging. Yes, it is right to declare public holiday to honor President Muhammadu Buhari, despite the public thought about him.
All right. So, Tony, before we get to the reactions that have trailed what government of Nigeria has, declared in honor of the late president, let's go for this very commercial break. Once we return, we move to that very one. Stay with us.
You're listening to Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
Good news and welcome to Winners Global Estate, heaven in Ogwashuku and Nyocha local government area, Asaba, Delta State. Home sweet home.
Ladies and gentlemen, mamas and papas, Winners Global Estate is here with a special promo package for real winners. Don't miss out in this laudable promo 2025, heaven on earth.
Buy, build, live, work, and enjoy. Unlock your dream home of reality. Winners Global Estate is selling fast. 3.5 million, 50 by 100. No more 7 million. Promo price. For booking and more information, please call
081 64 40 4098 or 080 37 44 3787. Winners Global Estate. Your security is assured.
Winners and Winners Global Estate.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
You're listening to The Polity. Get involved now.
Okay, thank you for staying tuned to the Radio 104.7 FM. You are listening to The Polity. My name is Franklin and Chisom Chinedu and Dr. Olisa Mbeki are there together with me this very morning. So let's get to the other part of the very conversation, which is the reactions that have trailed the declarations which have been made by the government of Nigeria. Now let's talk about those things that have happened so far, because now government of Nigeria, that's federal government, has already declared today a public holiday to honor the late president. Then if you go to the northwest, all the governors of the northwest, they have also declared public holiday in the northwestern state. The likes of KB, Kano, Sokoto, Jigawa, they also declared that. Then the National Assembly has also suspended plenary for 7 legislative days to honor the late president, and Nigerians have been reacting. Some persons have been criticizing those decisions which have been taken by the government on the National Assembly. Now, for the federal government, people who are questioning this very public holiday, they are saying that it's uncalled for. They are saying that some of them, that the holiday is going to cost them some damages. Take, for instance, there's a lawyer, FM Onitsha, who even went on social media to post the cost he's going to incur because of this very public holiday. According to him, he had a case in Abuja, and he flew from Lagos to Abuja for the case, which was meant to, take place today. But because of the public holiday, it had been adjourned, and he would need to incur about 500,000 naira extra cost for him to stay in Abuja and wait for another day for that very case. Now, there's a friend I have who lives in Canada. He was in Nigeria before he left about 3 years ago. After that holiday was announced, he went on social media to write that this is why Nigeria remains unproductive, that we cannot be announcing public holiday for anything that happens. But if you check globally, you can see that it's not uncommon for countries to declare national holiday in honor of late presidents. So in this very case, is it uncalled for, or is it because it was late Buhari who is in question here?
You asked, is it uncalled for, or is it because of
the person in question?
Person in question. I think it's a culture we copied from United States of America and possibly from United Kingdom.
Is it wrong?
We keep copying, and most times when we copy something, we must look at what we copied, whether it suits our peculiarity.
I asked if it's wrong because it's one thing to copy something, whether it is suits us or not. Is it wrong to declare a holiday in honor of somebody who served as a military head of state and who also served as a 2-term president?
If you ask me whether it's wrong to declare public holiday, because here at Dua, there was a public holiday in his honor when he died in office, but his own case is different because he was at that time the president, the serving president, and he died while in office. But I'm aware that when Dr. Nanda Zikiwe died in 1996, I don't think there was any public holiday declared in his honor. He was former governor general, and at the same time,
all I can remember is that we were in school that day and we were asked to go home.
If you could remember. So, but here in the East,
Yeah, it's the same thing now.
Anambra State can declare public holidays in honor. We're talking about national. So in your own case, it was Anambra State that declared public holiday, but it wasn't a case where it was declared nationally. Understand the difference?
When we were already in school, we were already in school having our normal duties until when the news broke, we asked, okay, just go home.
So now let's look at. I remember when Jimmy Carter died sometime. I think it was last year when he died. You remember Jimmy Carter was president of the United States of America from 1971 down to 1983. And then over the years, he died after so many years. But what happened? There was a public holiday. He died December 29th, and then the U.S. government declared public holiday in his name on January 9th. So there was a space for people to plan towards that public holiday. But why people are complaining now is because it was spontaneous. Many have had, schedule already. Many have scheduled to do one thing or the other. All of a sudden, a public holiday comes in that sense. But outside that, just like I have always said, there are some other things we can as well do without necessarily proclaiming public holiday. Yes, but maybe you may shut down the financial market. Supreme Court may close flags at half mast, and so many other of such could happen. But the truth remains that many Nigerians are not finding it funny for the fact that public holiday was declared, and some northwestern governors have also domesticated that public holiday in their own states. So that tells you the sign of respect. I'm not concerned about that public holiday. It's just a day thing. I'm not really. Where I'm concerned about is based on what the National Assembly did. That is where I'm concerned. I'm aware that even when Jimmy Carter died on December 29, 2024, where I maintained that there was a public holiday sometime around January 9, the U.S. Senate and the House of Representatives did not shut down plenary session or suspend legislative activities solely because of the death of former President Jimmy Carter. Congress, as an independent branch of government, typically honors deceased presidents through formal resolutions, tributes on the floor, and also participation in the state funeral, but does not suspend legislative business for an entire week or more. So that is what we also added to what we copied. We copied the one of declaration of public holiday, some of the things I have mentioned here, and we also added our own extra swag. Yes, I will call it swag. We are the nation, the two houses of the assembly shutdown. In fact, what transpired in Nigeria, a full week-long shutdown of both chambers of the National Assembly to mourn former President Buhari is not merely excessive, it is an unconscionable trivialization of statecraft and a disservice to a nation grappling with multiple existential challenges. In fact, it demonstrates a legislation that is disproportionately ceremonial, yes, performatively loyal, and disconcertingly aloof to the solemn weight of governance. To suspend plenary for a full week in Buhari's honor, a man whose tenure drew widespread criticism for democratic backsliding, economic hardship, suppression of dissent, and controversial ethnic bias, amounts to a mockery of legislative purpose and a parliamentary pilgrimage to sycophancy. But let me say this thing. I was trying to mirror the two presidents we have now. You know why I'm bringing Jimmy Carter? Because we copied from the American democratic system. Yes. This man, when he died, the world paid tribute to him. I'm aware, not just being the 39th U.S. president, former governor of Georgia, known for his humility, deep Christian values, moral leadership, and post-presidency activism. He was a naval officer, also a peanut farmer, and nuclear engineer. He did philanthropy the moment he left the Oval Office. He continued with his philanthropic strides. But look at our own president. Yeah, military head of state from 1983 down to 1985, and later civilian president from 2015 down to 2023. Yes, many describe him as general with rigid disciplinarian posture. And for what we discussed yesterday, yes, I did say that he was known for Spartan lifestyle, austere demeanor, and northern conservative roots. If you look at the economic achievements of the both men, you know why? When Jimmy Carter died and there was a public holiday in United States on the 9th of January, people welcomed it, people accepted it, people cheered, people loved it. But in our own case, especially the southern part of the country, they are not happy with it. They rejected it. So many people said, why would we have such declaration? Maybe if you look at Jimmy Carter's economic achievement when he was president from 1979 to 1983, he faced, yes, tumultuous economic challenges plagued by stagflation. That's what we call stagflation. When you have high inflation mixed with unemployment, you call it stagflation. So it's no more, you are no more talking about inflation alone. You are now talking about inflation, a high density inflation mixed with unemployment. That was the country Jimmy Carter inherited. And then he also created Department of Energy, also encouraged renewable energy, and so many things he achieved, monetary policy and so many things. But here on our own, Nigeria entered into recession twice under president. We said these things yesterday, so there's no point going back and forth about some of these things. But I'm just trying to let you know why people are not happy with such declaration. Yes, people are not happy. If you look at the human rights, I'm aware that the two men we are comparing, you know why we are comparing Jimmy Carter? Because I think that was the last United States of America president that died, and more like where we copied the one we copied, and the swag we added to the one we copied. He was a elevated human rights activist. In fact, human rights was central pillar of his government, both in his foreign policy, in everything. And then people criticize him for not being forceful in his attitude. In fact, what here we may call Adobe, that Jimmy Carter was the Adobe of the United States of America. But in any case, but Mr. President, when he was here as a civilian president, he presided over a regime where protesters, look at the NSAS, many of them that died. Some would say, did he proclaim public holiday for those who were killed during the NSAS protests, where many of them were brutally suppressed? And then court orders during his time as a president were routinely ignored and press intimidated. I talked about how Supreme Court judges' home were invaded in 2016. I talked about it yesterday, and how ex parte order was used to remove a serving Chief Justice of Nigeria. I said some of these things yesterday. So in all of that, I'm just trying to compare the two men. Why the United States of America, the people there rejoiced when there was such proclamation. But I did say the Congress, the Senate and the Congress, they did not shut down. There was no shutdown. They understand the balance of power. They understand the fact that the legislative organ of government is entirely and distinctively different from the executive organ. So they understand these things. But here in Nigeria, look at our National Assembly members. They will go and sleep in Daura. Let them remain in Daura. They are now representing Daura constituency. But just like I said, I don't have problem with the public holiday declared by the federal government. For me, it's part of what we copied from the Western world. But adding the swag of shutting down the two houses of National Assembly, just describe it with my own terms. With my own terms.
Okay, so once we return from this very break, we have to look at how this very too much recess or holiday by the National Assembly, how it tends to align with that very provision in the 1999 Constitution, which require that they need to sit up to 181 days in a year. So stay with us, we'll be right back.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
Except you build a house, the builder's building faith.
Crusade crusade. Yes, so this one a mega once in a lifetime kind of crusade. Oh, House of Sublime Properties Limited, the reigning real estate company known for zero problems, invites you to this land crusade with theme Gospel of Lands Crusade. If you have bought land anywhere and you are experiencing any problems or challenges, this crusade is for you. Highlights, connections, business deals, relationship meetings, first class entertainment, plus many other things. Date Sunday 20th of July 2025. Venue Night of St. Christopher Hall, All Saints Cathedral, opposite Red Cross Onitsha. Time 12 noon prompt. Come and get your breakthroughs. Get fee free of charge.
For inquiries, call Bishop on 081 36 40 4171 081 36 40 4171.
Come one, come all. House of Sublimes Properties Limited. Your peace of mind.
You're listening to Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic. You're listening to The Polity. Get involved now.
Alright, thank you for staying tuned to the Radio 104.7 FM. You are listening to The Polity. It's now 2 minutes past 10 a.m. My name is Franklin and Chisom Chinedu and Dr. Olisa Mbeki. All of us are together for this very program. Quickly go to our Facebook page and drop your comment to Udala Radio 104.7 FM to watch us live. You can do that on that very page or on Instagram and on our YouTube channels at Udala Radio. And talking about the death of Mr. President, or rather former president, who is going to be buried today, from what we gathered yesterday, the chief of staff to Mr. President and then the vice president, of course, they were in London yesterday trying to finish all the paperwork to ensure that they come back with the body of the late former president. And today the body is going to arrive in Katsina for that very burial. So we're looking at issues that have arisen so far. So according to section 63 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, the Senate and the House of Reps, they are required to sit for a minimum of 181 days within a legislative year. But we have seen the National Assembly, consistently falling short of this very benchmark by the virtue of the number of holidays and recesses that they embark upon. And now, you keep on wondering, does it not worry anybody that the National Assembly is supposed to be the custodians of the law, those who make the law, are falling short of the Constitution that all of them do swear to protect?
For me, your thought is as good as mine. They have consistently fallen short of the constitutional requirement and constitutional expectation. The Nigerian National Assembly, as presently constituted, both the Senate and the House of Representatives, has become a bloated conclave of absentee lawmakers. No doubt, they are more obsessed with recess calendars and ceremonial idleness. I must let you know that these ceremonial idleness have been entrenched in their character and the way and manner they discharge their legislative duties. Other than the sacred duty of lawmaking, what ought to be a chamber of democratic vigilance has tragically morphed into a retirement home for political opportunists. That's why some governors have taken the National Assembly, especially the Senate, to be their retirement home. Why don't we label that Senate retirement home for governors who have served 2 terms? It's better we put it the way it is, and they constitute, and many of them go there to sleep and snore. Add to the ceremonial calendars they have adorned themselves with, and they have shown that in many owambes, for those who like owambe, and most times, do you know when you have wedding and funeral. That's where they do their legislative duties. During weddings and funerals. In fact, they excel not in debate and policy, but in a ritualistic choreography of funerals, burials, and what have you. And sometimes you also add condolence, adjournments. And most times when you listen to their plenary tributes from one time to the other, these are things you see. How many days do we have in the Constitution? You must. There is a constitutional requirement. There is a constitutional benchmark. They do not follow that. The so-called honorable members routinely abandon plenary sections are the flimsiest excuse.
But do you know
that? Yes, this one may not be. They have no business shutting down the National Assembly. Why don't you have your section? Your tributes on the floor. Render whatever tribute you want to render right on the floor.
But they want to go to Dora to be part of the procession.
You can as well be. Once, I think they may not. You may cut down the section probably from 10 to 12. And for those who want to attend the funeral, can as well do that. You don't shut down the entire assembly. You know that National Assembly is the symbol of democracy. That is the chamber of people's representation. So you can't just do that.
So you raised something, Tony, that actually struck me. And this might be some sort of diversion. But then I'm wondering, is it possible for us to have a sort of legislation that if you've been in any executive office, like the governorship, you don't have any business in the Senate, you are not allowed to run. But like you pointed out, most of them is like their retirement home from, of course, offices like that of the governor.
We can suit anything to fit our peculiarities. Yet, someone would say where we copied what we copied from. Many members of the U.S. Senate, many of them were once governors of their respective states.
It's what they were performing.
But we see performance, and we've seen our own not working. They something they started doing, and it's working for them. And they can go on and do what is working. But in our own home, we've seen our chamber being a bed rest for some of these politicians, where they sleep, where they snore, and where they wait for the next condolence, where they wait for the next funeral, where they wait for the next birthday, where they wait for the next Owambe. So these are things that have become the hallmark of our legislature. And the worst still, when you are paid over 14 million as running cost a month. Do you know the last time I was on this show, I put a pure calculation of what the National Assembly has been paid from 1999 down to 2025, a whooping 7 point something trillion. That's a huge amount. See, the point is, if they were to be an enterprise, if National Assembly were to be a business conglomerate, not just that they are underperforming, it ought to have folded long time ago, and business cease operation, or the businesses cease operation, or the business cease operation. My concern is that if you look at their allowances, they have a wardrobe allowance, they have the one for constituency allowance, they have a newspaper allowance, they have car allowance, they have entertainment allowance. Also, if these are people that we have bloated allowances allocated to their offices.
Let me come in
That's
here.
What we get.
If we're going to make a law, just like Chisom said, if we're going to make a law, trying to bar people who have served as 2-term governors from going to the House of Representatives or Senate, basically Senate, which are going to amend the relevant section of the 1999 Constitution, which prescribes the condition upon which somebody could be, stopped from vying for any elective office. That would not necessarily stand. Of course, it's going to be clash of an act of National Assembly versus the 1999 Constitution.
Definitely, because if you look at it, for you to make such law, it is something you must route to constitutional amendment. You must make sure that sections of the Constitution will align with such law. And for you to amend the Constitution, you can also bring it in form of a bill for an act to amend the certain provisions of the Constitution in such a way. You now enumerate some of the things we've said here, but the point remains they will not allow it. In fact, it will be dead on arrival. You want to take the only thing they have going well for them from them. They are not considering Nigeria. They are not thinking about Nigeria. I'm telling you that in fact, Nigerian legislators, they live as pampered elites. You know, there is difference between living as an elite and also living as a pampered elite. They are shielded from scrutiny. They function more as a palace attendants to political godfathers than as true representatives of the electorate. That's the way they function. But I can't go deep into some of these things because we know these things from now. So I don't want to label them as being lazy, but then it is insultingly disconnected from the suffering millions of Nigerians are passing through, where they claim they represent this million. In fact, it's penchant for abandoning sections in the name of national mourning or recess. It's not just undemocratic, it is cowardly and unpatriotic and parasitic for whatever scale you want to measure it with.
Okay. All right. So we're going to switch gears now. Let's look at the story on the Punch newspaper that talks about police rescue 39 Ghanaians, others in trafficking crackdown. If you go through this very story, it's not just about the Ghanaians who are rescued. The story concerns Anambra too, and likewise Enugu State. The story reads: the Nigerian police force has smashed 2 human trafficking syndicates operating in Ondo, Anambra, and Enugu State, rescuing several victims, including 39 Ghanaians, 2 pregnant women, a 7-month-old baby, and 4-year-old child. This was disclosed in a statement shared on the official X handle of the Nigerian Police Force on Monday, signed by the Force Public Relations Officer ACP Olumuyiwa Dejobi. And the statement noted that operatives of the Zone 13 Police Command carried out a precision sting operation targeting a network involved in child trafficking and a baby factory network. The story says 8 suspects were arrested in connection with this case, including Uzamaka, 27 years old, Joy Mado, 52, and Victoria Onodo Akasike, that's 56 years old. And according to the story, they confessed to active involvement in child theft, abduction, illegal adoption schemes, and the operation of unlicensed medical facilities functioning as baby factories. Now, according to the statement, the victims rescued during the operation include a 7-month-old infant, a 4-year-old child, and 2 heavily pregnant women, all held under captivity in a remote village. Now, the story of thriving baby factories, and in most cases, these baby factories, they operate as if they are healthcare facilities. Some of them even operate as if they are orphanages or what have you, or even what they call this very caring homes. Maybe somebody who is indigent and is pregnant, they can take care of the person and blah blah blah. But what they do is that they use these things as a ploy to further criminal activities, where they use this to abduct women, then get them pregnant. When they are delivered of babies, they said these very babies, and it seems that it's thriving in Anambra State. Why is this so?
When you talk about baby factory, just like I've always said on this very show, there are illegal establishments, there's no doubt, where young girls and women, often underage, we've seen that sometimes they're vulnerable. They are held against their will, or some are lured, or some may wish to participate in some of these things. And where we have just these underage boys, these days they also recruit underage boys, even age ones, to be impregnating them, and they are forced to give birth to their babies so they can be sold illegally for adoption ratio. And there are so many other reasons why they do what they do, but the truth remains that the concept of organized baby factory became publicly known around 2006 or 2008, I think, between that period, when Nigerian security agencies began to uncover some of these illegalities and obscene public acts, as one can best describe it. I recall that before we start talking about that in Anambra State, there was the major bust was, I think it was around 2008, when police raided an orphanage in Abia State in 2008. And I recall then that dozens of pregnant teenage girls were found in that very orphanage homes. I'm aware that even the reports by the United Nations and National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Person, NAPTIP, confirmed that baby factory enterprise, you can call it enterprise, though it's a shadow enterprise anyway, a dark enterprise, is something that is rising in Nigeria. I don't want to talk about reasons why they got into this. Remember, here in Oba, we've seen raids around that area. And the last I saw was where the communities around that area, Apupu and Oba, and more especially the Oba community, they rose from their meeting and said they would not want a particular bar that had been there recruiting girls age 13, 14, 15, sometimes 12, where they will come there and they will do all manner of works. And then you have one madam. And the truth remains that our legislative chambers have not taken concrete actions about this. And even our government, the executive chambers, because I'm looking at situations where there will be an act of the state assembly on some of these issues, criminalizing them. Not about, because if you look at somebody who had done this, probably the person will be charged with abduction, pretense. There's so many charges that could come as a result of that. But we are looking at the one that is more exact, running baby factory and recruiting these people. If we criminalize it in a more concretized form or terms, death by hanging, if we want it, or life imprisonment, and we go all out and have a strong government policies on some of these things, it will go a long way to reduce. Just like you said, it's not that it's thriving in Anambra State, it's just so in many other states. Just so there is no state that is immune. I can go on and tell you, in fact, in the southeast, even in the south, even in the southwest, even in the north central. In fact, it is even more. We have some of this is going on in some IDPs, internally displaced persons camp, where some people will hurriedly or for whatever reason pretentiously impregnate some of these underage girls right in IDP and get their babies whenever they put to bed sold. So it is a sign of systemic failure.
You know, Johnny, I came across a story this morning of a woman who lives somewhere around Westminster, UK, in the United Kingdom, and had claimed to be pregnant. But as at the time she left the UK for her holiday in Nigeria, she wasn't certified pregnant, right? So she came here and claimed that she had the baby here. And then she went back to the UK with this child. And somehow they got involved in some legal issues. There was no DNA link to the woman or her husband and the child. And so the system took the child away from her. And now she's being charged for child theft and fraud.
Yes.
And you see, I think when you speak about the system being a failure, I think we should start from the root of the society, the one that criminalizes proper adoption. Yeah, we know adoption is not Igbo culture, is not the culture in so many places, but culture is subject to evolution. And so this is 2025. People should start accepting the fact that people who cannot biologically have children can actually cater to children and also possess their own children if they go through the right means. I think one of the reasons why this thrives is the constant demonization of adoption. And so they keep going through these kukere ways, keep faking cryptic pregnancies, keep popping themselves on hormones so to look pregnant, because this shadow of the child has to come from me has been hovering over the society. And so first we should start looking at taking the stigma away from adoption. We should also start looking at the fact that if we start to go through adoption the right way, it may not even be as expensive and as risky as it is with these people, you know, having to pop yourself on hormones, having to do all sorts of things just to appear pregnant so that you will take a child, when you can easily adopt a child properly without going through all this stress.
I remember when you talk about issue of conception or fertility, there are many ways. Science has done so much. Technology has also come to bear. We have in vitro fertilization. We also have different forms. I won't go deep into that, but I'm concerned about this could be one of the reasons why these things thrive. But we also have the the ones that have to do with rituals. I'm aware that, just like I said, 17 pregnant teenage girls were rescued from a particular motherless baby's home in Abia State. That was in 2008. The question is, those who were behind this, were they tried? Were they prosecuted? How far about that very incident in 2008? That was in Imo State. In 2011, in Enugu State, police uncovered a home where girls were impregnated and their babies sold. In Enugu State, that was in 2011. Now the question is, those who were behind this, were they properly charged, prosecuted, and what not just the government, I'm talking about the the state house of assemblies of these states, did they do, or did they come up with any law? In 2013, a notorious case where over 30 pregnant teenage girls were rescued from a home posing as a hospital in Imo State. That was in 2013. The same question I asked for the one that happened in Enugu and Abia State, I'm asking. Then in 2014, it was again in Abia State where police freed 32 pregnant girls in a rescue mission. The owner of that facility claimed he ran a legitimate orphanage. They usually come in form of orphanage homes or what we call it hospital. That is the camouflage. Then in Lagos, it happened in Lagos in 2018. A baby factory was busted where pregnant girls said they were promised money after delivery. In Ogun State, it happened in 2020. River State 2021. And then Anambra State, it happened in 2023 too. A child trafficking syndicate was busted by police in Inewi, suspected of running a hidden baby factory under the guise of herbal care. So we've got some of these things happening in some of these states. The question is, what are we doing? And we can't just play lip service to some of these developments. We live in these states, we operate in these states, and we see these things happening. What have we done? And just like you pointed out earlier, one of the reasons why these things thrive could be because of the stigmatization attached to adoption, where some people, fake baby bombs and go through the back door to get some of these babies. The point remains that there are those who are using these babies for rituals, and nobody talk about what becomes the fate of these children when they're put to bed. United States of America, by 2026, any child born in United States of America will be given how many? $1,000. An account will be opened for them in that respect. And look at how we are managing our country. Look at how even the unborn generation, how they come into being. That is very, very insidious and also lugubrious.
All right, because this has gone, it has gone interstate, and it has become like a syndicate. I can recall that very story of a child who was kidnapped in Gombe State, and later the child was found in Anambra State. I can recall the story of the Arrow of God, which was investigated by Fisher Shoyombo, the one he went undercover, pretending that he wanted to adopt a baby in Lagos, but the baby was brought to him to Lagos from Anambra here, and other things. As in telling you how sophisticated they have gone. Now, I can recall one story I got involved in. That was around 2017, because he mentioned Oba. In Oba, a child that got missing while they were in church. The child was found after about 3 years in Oka, Madokwenaga, and it happened that the guy that saw the guy was working with Torture Brigade, and I think I know this very guy. That was how he began his investigation. So at the end of the day, I will follow the story to Oba to see what happened. It happened that these people were in church, and the abductor just came. Oh, can you nego kikutelu biscuit? They get go and buy biscuit for them. Let me watch over them. As the senior one left, one called Waffle. That's how he disappeared. So they tell you they work in a syndicate now. Oh, when the bone Haja Tota lesson money wasn't in Kibana around now as orphanage. Now another thing we might want to look at, because some raised an issue in that very area, is this. People have complained that the process of legal adoption is quite cumbersome. Now that's why people who are in need of babies, they resort to all these illegal means of getting a child, and that's why the market is thriving.
And my concern is, most orphanage homes, do we have a commission in every state that takes oversight function on orphanages? It's not something we leave to Ministry of Health alone. Do we have commissions? And then not just that, and we have some inspection officers that go to hospitals to see things themselves. These are some of the things remember I've always said, when you don't have monitor and evaluation, things worsen. Do you know the trending one here? Many people don't know this. There are some, would I call them internet thieves? They now descend on old men and old women in the rural areas. They will meet these old men and old women who, most of them, their sons and their children do send money to them. They will target their account. Sometimes when they come to the POS, or maybe these machines at the banks, if they want to make withdrawals, in the name to assist them, they will withdraw all the monies. And there are those that would use religion and come knowing fully well that the woman attends a particular church or attends a particular denomination, that the pastor says this and this and that. Before you know it, they will defraud. They now target these aged people. They call them, use one thing or the other, because they know that their children do send a lot of money for them. Many of them have got about 5 cases where 300,000, 1 point something million, they took all this money from account of these people. So it is important we will begin to tell everyone listening to us that any mama or papa, anybody calls for anything that has to do with money, my pastor said, the church said, anything said, the mama should say no. For me to assist you in any way, bring your ATM, bring your this thing, let me have your phone. They should not give any of their device that that is connected to the account to any stranger that comes in any guise. That's the new target. And it's really very bad for people who have turned their target to these people, to these age people. It is very bad.
Okay, so let's go for this very commercial break. Once we return, we throw up an issue and then open the phone lines for you to join this very conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
Quality bread, Wendy's bread, for your family breakfast. Wendy's bread, I'll pack it on the Tozialo. Wendy's bread, mama, papa, they like Wendy's bread, that kitchen and do. Wendy's bread, even children, they like Wendy's bread, Wendy's bread, Ninta. Wendy's bread, get it better, tasty, we go sweet your belly. Wendy's bread, Wendy's your bachichoma. Wendy's bread, the champion.
Wendy's bread, your tasty bread. You can contact us on our official address, 2nd Business Park, Enugu Road, GRA, beside Onitsha, Anambra State. We also have another branch at St. Michael Plaza at Tandy Road. Also contact us on 070-1149-1571. Wendy's bread, your tasty bread.
Wendy's bread.
You're listening to Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic. You're listening to the Polity. Get involved now.
Thank you for staying tuned to Udala Radio 104.7 FM. You are listening to the Polity. My name is Franklin and we're going to open the phone lines now for you to join this very conversation. 0803-221-6973 or 0803-827-6694. Before then, I just want to pop up this very story, which is 2027 will be with contest with or without ADC aid. The person who is saying this is a former spokesperson of P2B's presidential campaign, which is who is Yunusa Tanko. He actually warned that the former Anambra State governor may pull out of the African Democratic Congress coalition if he is not offered a party's presidential ticket ahead of the 2027 general election. When I read this, it gave me a kind of a reinforcement of what I have been noticing in my mind, because anywhere Mr. P2B goes, he tells you, I will be on the ballot 2027. So does that mean that if he doesn't get the ticket of ADC, of course he's going to either remain in Labour Party or find another platform to contest for presidency in 2027. And if that is the case, where is the coalition? What becomes the fate of that coalition? Because they are thinking that the coalition is to galvanize all the opposition under one umbrella so that they will be able to have the muscle to fight against the incumbent. So let's get to the phone lines, take your reaction before Tony comes in to offer some insight on that on these developments. Good morning. Hello.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Yeah, hello, good morning.
Yeah, please, I want to use an emergency information. As I'm talking to you now, not less than 20 people have been crushed by truck at that Idemili of Idemili now. I'm talking to you.
At where?
You understand? Idemili, yes. Police people blocked that down, and one trailer full loaded with cement just break. As I'm telling you now, not less than 20 people are just lying like placeless. I'm telling you now.
Is it Obidemili or which part of Idemili are you talking about? The one? Oba?
Obidemili, that is Obidemili.
Okay. Yes, hold on, please. Can you be? Is it by the Enugu Onitsha Expressway? Is it by the Onitsha Way Road?
No.
Onitsha Way Road.
Listen. Onitsha Way Road. Yes.
Okay.
Close to the second Niger Bridge.
Yeah. The truck was, descending from that upper hill. So lost control or something like that. As I'm telling you now, more than 20 people have been killed. My brother, I cannot just stand what I witnessed. I cannot be able to stand what I saw. So I just decided to call you people.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right. Okay. Thank you for the information.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's just like an SOS to the emergency responders for them to begin to run to that very place to see the number of lives that can be saved. All right. So emergency responders talk about the Red Cross, the police, the federal safety, and even NEMA, what have you. They have to run to that place to see what they can help to salvage. That's quite a sad one. Hello. Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning. Good morning.
This morning with this cycle is coming in now. It's a shame, isn't it? Now can we talk about the funeral and what we Nigerians are doing and not doing? Ideally, late President Muhammadu Buhari would have had a grand burial celebration by Nigerians. When he started off, the military issue came. We know at that time, choice people didn't go into the army anyway. We know you have to go to the army, even in the south here. You go to the army when you don't have anything to offer. You go to boys' company and all that. But be that as it was, he was a well-finished officer. Because when we had the Metasine problem, Tony, I'm sure you remember, Metasine, they came in from Niger to Kano. It was Buhari that chased them out. Then, of course, he did some things that one may say in his ideological way. He thought of discipline in this country. Yes, we have never had it, no matter how crude it was. We learned to queue. We learned not to throw garbages left, right, and center. And we began to construct monuments. I was one of those that did that while in discipline in Kaduna. So he tried. Then later, I think he wasn't a politician. And that was what got him into trouble. You need to work with these politicians to see how they operate. They are so incestuous, like a bad disease, and they drag you into doing what you are not supposed to do. I was very close to one of them that contested presidency. I was senator. Another one was my husband. Another one was my brother-in-law, who was the chief of army staff and contested presidency. That's Shehu Musa Yar'Adua. So when you begin to see what happened to Buhari, if you ever knew him, he changed. If you recall, Chuba Kadibo was with him the day Chuba was sprayed tear gas, knowingly that Chuba had asthma. And after that, he gave Chuba Okadiwo's wife a good job, I recall. But after that, things went awry. And he did a few things that are not good. But he did something that pleased me.
All right.
This mausoleum, please, yeah? This mausoleum, he did it, yeah? The bridge. And this light in Abia State, he started it. I'm just talking about the parts I think that are acceptable. And I think, and what he did that shocked me most, the apology he tendered, that is un-African. A black man never says, if I'm wrong, forgive me if I'm hurt. No, it's unusual. And I think maybe because of that apology he tendered, God will give him a kind repose.
All right.
And then he will soak it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for joining the conversation this very morning. Hello, good morning. Okay, try again. 0803-221-6973 or 0803-827-6694. Good morning.
Good morning.
Your name?
Franklin. And good morning, my sister, Tony Mbeki.
You're welcome. It's good to have you.
This is the voice of Honorable Mr. Goye from our Kingdom.
Go on.
The National Assembly went on two holidays or morning because of Buhari. To me, that shows that they have not much business to do. Two is too much. Although when the study was analyzing, he said that we copy all these things from the Western world, British in America. The Americans give their president such long time in their morning state. Remember that this president, during the regime, the National Assembly was messed up by armed businessmen, cover their face. It was the lawyers, the judges in Nigeria was harassed by common armed robbers at midnight by this regime. You see, all these things, Nigeria is too weak for me. I feel that it's some bad side more than it's too good side. Thank you. I'm done.
All right. Thank you. Hello, good morning. Hello.
That's a wonderful morning to you, Franklin, and Honorable Speaker and Olisa Mbeki.
Good morning.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker, and I'm wishing you live from Onitsha.
Go on.
Well, let me just stand with His Excellency, Mr. CEO. Yes, ADC or no ADC, we need a new Nigeria. We need a Nigeria that is working, a Nigeria that is functional, a Nigeria that will give everybody a sense of belonging. So, no matter what Atiku is doing, I believe that ADC will come to their senses because it's a coalition of the whole Nigerians. And Nigeria has PO in mind. He's the one that will come out today, and I will assure you that people will come out and mass to vote. But if it becomes business as usual, you are going to witness what you witnessed in Lagos State last week. What you saw in Lagos State last week, there will be a replica of it at the general election. That is voter apathy. So all we are trying to do now, all I will advise the coalition is to know that the coalition is not just to have a primary election. Gather people's views, people's opinions on who is the most competent. And you have to allow the South to complete their 8-year tenure. You can't just come and disrupt it because your ambition to become a president have overcrowded your sense of reasoning. So what we are trying to say is this. Very, very simple. People should allow the peace to reign. Let people allow peace to reign and not to, just scatter the vote, just like they did in 2020 elections. So coming to rituals and Yahoo and stuff, I think it's as a result of bad government. Though we don't encourage people, you can say find something to sort yourself out. But bet you me, this generation don't think the way older people think. They must have to survive, whether by hook or crook. That I will advise them to get something meaningful. If you need a menial job can serve you, that is better off than going into internet fraud. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, DK, for calling. Hello, good morning. Okay, try again. 0803-221-6973 or 0803-827-6694. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning. Your name?
Good morning, Franklin and Chisom and my analyst.
You're welcome.
This is the voice of Anthony Mecheta following you this morning from Onitsha. I want to bear my view on the honor that the current administration have decided to give the former president, Muhammad Buhari. And it has been greeted with mixed feelings. And many are criticizing and saying it is excessive and wasteful. But I want to say that state burial and public holiday being declared is the prerogative of the president. And we all cannot undermine the role that Muhammad Buhari played to his emergence as the president of his nation. So he wants to reciprocate by going overboard despite people's controversial opinions. I will remember quickly that when he died, even the Senate refused state burial, but he was given a state burial by the president. President Goodluck Jonathan insisted that he is going to be given a state burial, contrary to the opinions and the resolve of National Assembly. He went ahead and he was given state burial. So I think Tinubu knows the role he played, and he was one that midwifed him into power. So, and again, it is political in a sense to gain the goodwill, to retain again the goodwill of the North that is slowly drifting away. We will remember it is one that recognized June 12 as Democracy Day, unlike May 29. So, it is within his own prerogative, and that he knows that doing this, the North will appreciate it more, and they can win back their goodwill. So, public holiday or not, the president, as given by the Constitution, has the prerogative even to give, even to honor, even to go overboard as he chooses. Because I just suppose it with the one with later that it went ahead and there was setback attending to it.
Right.
So I want to say,
thank you.
It's political so as to win the fate of the North. I stand by.
All right. Thank you. Hello. Okay. Try again. Hello. Good morning. All right. 0803-221-6973 or 0803-827-6694. Hello.
Hello, Franklin. Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Sorry, good morning as well. My speaker, Olisa Mbeki, good morning.
You're welcome.
I'm from Onitsha. My speaker, you have really dealt with the analysis of the baby factory or what I was indicating in any manner, and the one you mentioned about the fraud ongoing with each parent by same set of people. But my worry is just like you said, why is it that all these cases, none has been concluded for us to know their punishment? Early this year, that's what that took place in Treasury. They are not arrested. And people were arrested. And the question is, those who were arrested, where are they? Have they been prosecuted? I'm thinking if those things were carried out and proper investigations were made and people were sentenced, it will come up on the news again. The Nigerian kind of media is when something happens, they will dig deep and then went to sleep. We, who are followers, we no longer know what's going ahead. Others, you cannot arrest somebody on the scene of a crime, and yet nothing comes out of it. On the National Assembly, the federal government declared public holiday today. Yeah, I'm calling you from. It's partial compliance because schools are on. The National Assembly not only shut down today, but give a week. But what the government did was just a single day and said the flag will fly on a low distance about 7 days, and they said to give themselves another break. Do we accuse them of running away from the Natasha issue? Because I don't see anything why, even if they want to honor him today, they should have resumed their primaries at least tomorrow, or make sure this week they sit about 2 or 3 occasions. But let me tell you, if you go to Udala, all hotels are booked. None is free. What is that? They're not going to come back. And again, my speaker, this law or this Muslim right, is it meant for the poor people? When a call and our president, to me, he falls short to be an imam, but when he falls his own religion. Why is it that since Sunday we're talking about burying somebody that believes that within 24 hours the person will be buried? From UK to Nigeria, is it more than 10 hours flight? What are they preparing? What committee are they forming? They have left many people insinuating so many things. You are a media group, all of you. Social media, whether they are genuine or not, but in every rumor, there's symptom of truth in it. Thank you this morning.
Okay, so Tony, maybe we take note later. Maybe if we have time, talk about it. You know how easy it is to move a dead body from a foreign country back to the home country. Hello, good morning.
Isn't it about the money?
You said?
Isn't it about the money? I mean, it's just about the expenses.
It's not just about the expenses. Hello, good morning.
Hello,
yeah.
FM. Good morning.
Yeah, hello, good morning.
Yeah, the voice of Obi Kama. I'm coming from Onitsha.
Okay, all right, go on.
On the last topic that you read out, about it to be contesting if ADC didn't give him the presidential ticket.
Okay.
I don't think that is all right. It's not quite all right because the correction must be if it is P2B they want to give, P2B will stand. And I think he's more competent in the sense that the Southerners will complete their own. Let them not do what they did to Jonathan by giving him only 4 years. So he completed that of Yaradua, who died. So it's my candid opinion that P2B should do whatever he could so that he will be given the ticket. So we could having that coalition so that we be Tinubu part of the rest. If they do it the three ways again, then they will lose probably because they will divide the vote this year, and it was done in 2023. So I think they should do so that they bring up one person to complete. Thank you so very much.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you. I think we have to go to the Facebook now so that we let's see the post, acknowledge them first before we now see how much time we have.
All right, then it's at Udala Radio 104.7 FM, and we're trying to pull up some of the comments that you have made on the post related to the show. Do not also forget that we are live right on that platform as well. You can also watch everything happening right in the studio on our Facebook Live. And so some of the comments we'll take right after this call.
All right. Hello, good morning. Hello. Hello, can you hear me? Okay, hello. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, your name?
Oh, my name is Basilugu. Calling from Onitsha.
Okay, just quickly.
Oh, okay. Let me speak on the issue of national assembly. Number one, I think that the issue they have a budget now, and we see after the burial, the budget is coming up to billions of naira just for burial for one day burial. And we ask ourselves, is this a way Nigeria is going to be going every time, spending money, looking for a way to spend money? Because they are shutting the National Assembly because of the budget they have seen. If they have not seen a good budget, they will not do that. There are a lot of budget. Every member of that parliament is going to have the millions of naira for that 1 week break. That's just what they are there for. Make money for their selves. One day burial, you have a committee for one day burial. What are they going to do there for 1 week? After the burial has been, they have buried our president, past president, and they will be there for 1 week. What are they doing there?
All right.
Looking other things. Regarding the issue of P2B, saying that he will contest. Yes, I think, but it has to be an alliance in North. Let me tell you, Buhari is no more. But I'm telling you, Atiku Abubakar is there. Apart from Buhari, the next person Northerner believes too much is Atiku Abubakar. And you can never take it away from him. So I think the best thing for people is to align itself with the North.
Right.
If it is not aligning itself with the North, I don't...
Thank you. We have to manage our time. So, Chisom, let's get to the Facebook page.
We're going to start with that of Dr. Mrs. Amal Lebara. She says, our good deeds will speak for us when we are gone. May Buhari's death remind us that our sojourn on earth is not forever, but a journey that will surely end one day. Let his death be a moment of reflection on the lives we live. Are we living lives worthy of emulation? What legacies are we leaving? May God give us leaders with milk of human kindness that will build good medical facilities where every Nigerian will be proud to go for medical challenges instead of running abroad for every sickness. We pray for our leaders that will fear God, who will have the interest of the masses at heart. We see you, Obino Patrick, Bridget AGK or more. We see you, Tino Obi Eze. This public holiday in the respect of Buhari's more of politics. Buhari, who values cows more than human beings, it should be a cow that should be observing this public holiday. What a take. Henry Elu, he says, where have you people... Oh, okay. I think that's for another crew. They would eventually get to look at that. But he said, we are definitely going to remember late President Buhari. We will remember him on Operation Python Dance Declaration, NSAS Massacre, clueless monetary policy that brought cashless hunger season to Nigerians. And of course, we will remember the hardship. My prayer is that the Almighty treats Buhari the way he treated Nigeria and Nigerians, whether good or bad. Right then, Emmanuel Chiadi says Nigeria appears to be a nation at gunpoint, driven by fiscal rascality and misplacement of priorities. Honestly, legislative works should be part-time and save the nation from scarce resources wastefulness. Osondo Ozoma says, I was disappointed. Osondo, I'd like to correct an impression. Tony Mbeki never said that Buhari died years back. He never said that. People said that, and we told them right on this platform that this is not a place to push such conspiracy theory. And so please, so you get your facts right, it was never said here. So he went on to say something about Tinubu, him visiting Trump. Tony did also say that himself, so I don't know where all of the things you're putting here came from.
All right, so I think we have to take, I mean, this should be enough we can take because we're out of time. But certainly, let's go. I won't like us to dabble into this, whether this person died or not, because...
No, we actually cleared that yesterday, so I think this person got wrong facts.
It's like there's something that simple logic will tell you whether it's true or not. So Tony, we have to leave. But this very morning, I threw up something about the coalition, and then the issue about documentation before the body gets back to Nigeria. So we just have 1 minute.
When you talk about the issue of coalition, we have been following and monitoring their actions and their development. So it's not something that is just finishing a day. So coalition, we are looking at many of them as still members of the political party, and they are also having one leg in the coalition party. So time shall tell on the issue you mentioned about bringing a dead body from a foreign country to a local country. There are many steps involved. I'm aware that if someone dies in a foreign country, then there will be, first and foremost, there will be a report to the local authority about the death, and then once the local authorities have been informed about the death, they will issue death certificates, because I'm aware that this will often need to be translated and sometimes documented, and there will also be police reports. From that, then the home of the person who died, embassy, the contact of the home country's embassy or consulate will be contacted, and they will issue a guideline, and they follow that guideline, which most times there will be embalmment and so many things that will follow thereof. So I don't see much to that. So then money will involve. There is no doubt. If you are looking at it from the angle of money, definitely money will be involved. And on the last note, I also want to appeal to, just like you have called before, emergency responders to please go to Oba Idemili, close to the second Niger Bridge. There is an emergency report we had on this program, and that has to do with truck running amok on people, crushing about 20, according to the person I called. For us, it's a very, very devastating event, and a very devastating or tragic event, which I believe that we should look into it and see how we can make that place to be less prone to accident. This is not the first time.
Okay.
This is not the first time, so we must find ways. If it means planting these road bombs or brake bombs along that route to ensure that some of these speeding trucks get slowed down so that they will not lose their brake in a way to run on people, as the report had it.
Right. Okay, so Chisom, we have to leave.
Definitely, we have to leave. And like I said earlier, this is not the place where you push conspiracy theories. All right. And of course, I would always remind you and myself that the fight for a better Nigeria starts with you and I. So do the right thing, and I do the right thing. The change we all desire would be closer to us.
All right. Thank you all for listening. That's how we're going to, draw the curtain this very morning. Thank you. My name is Franklin and Ebuka. Good morning.
You're listening to Udala Radio 104.7 FM.